Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants are automatically muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members are participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. For all those who are waiting online, please ensure that you have called in with the phone number that you originally registered with. If you call in with a different number, you will not be able to speak on that item. To ensure audio clarity, I suggest that you do not use the speakerphone function on your telephones. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Alan Smithies, and I will chair today's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are Nadini Sankar Peralta, Asif Khan, Paul Kidd, and Ron Hunt. City staff are also present: Daniel Antonacci, Adam Wills, and Amir Nassan. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone attending today who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, it may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Appeal instructions are described at the bottom of the committee's decision. The hearing procedure is as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if desired. If the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak on that item. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5-minute limit. When addressing the committee, please state clearly your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application. The applicant or agent proceeds first and will make their presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that a revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it has been substantially revised. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application are invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the previous speakers. This marks the end of discussion on the item. The application is then taken into committee for a decision. Committee members, I have minutes from our meeting of the 28th of April 2020 to adopt. If I could have a motion to adopt those minutes, please. Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt those minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries, and those minutes are adopted. Are there any committee members here this morning who have a conflict of interest they'd like to declare? There being none, thank you. I note that we have, in the morning session, 2 items are up, have requests for deferral. I'll deal with those first. And the first one is item number 8, which is 20 Graymar Avenue. And with respect to that particular application, I have one person registered to speak, and that is Gabrielle Giudici. Are you there, madam?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I am here.
Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, this is Gabriel Guiducci. I am from 269 St. John's Road, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. If I could just ask, you've requested a deferral. Could I get the reason for the deferral?
Yes, we have gone through some changes with for planning concerns. We're still in the works with some of these minor changes to satisfy planning. So we just need a few more time, a few more weeks, a few more days to address.
No, I wanted to ask, sir, you've had the opportunity to read the comments from city planning in their report of the 14th of September.
Yes.
And because they were recommending a number of modifications to your application, so well, you'll be discussing this with city planning?
Correct, yes. We have already gone through some changes as per their report regarding coverage. And the height, we're okay with many of these parts of the report. There is only one item that is attached to the definition of first floor, then it's kind of putting our building to be defined as a 3-story building. So we're working very closely with the designer and the planning examiner to kind of stay away from that definition and come back with a 2-story building.
Okay, thank you, sir. I was going to mention that with respect to variance number 7, but that's one of the reasons
Yes.
for your deferral, so thank you very much. Does the committee have any
Correct.
questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this deferral, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to put forward a motion to defer the application sine die to allow the applicant to discuss the application with planning staff.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been adjourned to the next available meeting so that you can meet with city planning and discuss your issues.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next deferral request on our list is item number 15. That is 46 Virgil Wood Drive.
Mr. Chair, can we start with Amber Stewart? I think she might be the owner of the property. We can speak with her first and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wells. Ms. Stewart, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Amber Stewart, and I am actually legal counsel for the owners, and I'm happy to give you my address if you'd like it. It's 70 Plunkett Road, Unit 6, Toronto, M9L2J5.
Okay, thank you, madam. And the reason you're asking for a deferral?
Yes, sir. Similar to the last request, there was a planning staff report that was issued that expressed some concerns, and we have had some follow-up discussions with Mr. Romero. And my clients are prepared to make some revisions in an effort to address those concerns. And based on the conversation that I've had with him, I think there is some room to at least improve or reduce the concerns. The other reason, sir, my clients have lived in this property for many years, and they did make significant efforts to speak to all of their neighbors. And they thought they had reached an understanding with many or all of the neighbors they'd spoken with. But I did notice that there is an objection letter from number 48 on behalf of the owners of 48, which is the other half of the semi-detached dwelling. And I will say that I appreciate that that letter has indicated a willingness to speak with my clients and try and resolve those concerns, and we'd like to do that as well, sir.
Okay, thank you, madam. I notice that we have one, two, three other persons registered to speak, so I just have to get their views on the deferral. I'll just ask, does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Okay, I'll move to the next person on our list. I have a Glenn Cooper representing Marjorie and Richard Cantor. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, one moment while we look for Glenn Cooper. It should be noted that they do not appear to be on the line at this time.
Okay, thank you. We'll skip them. I have J.O. Pimentel. Are you there? Joe Pimentel?
Mr. Chair, they are not present on the call at this time.
Okay, thank you. Last person on the list is Bart Zemanek. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, they are present.
Bart Zemanek.
Yes, sir,
are
I
you
am
there?
here. Yes, sir, I am here.
Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yep, Bart Zemanek, 168 Millwood Road, Upper Unit, Toronto.
Okay, thank you, sir. You've heard from the applicant that they're requesting a deferral. Do you have an objection to a deferral?
None whatsoever. I'm the youngest son of the owners of the home, and I concur that I'd like this deferral, please.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go
Mr.
back.
Chair, I'd like to bring to your attention, I was able to find actually Richard Cantor, so we can bring them up next.
Okay, I'll do that. Go back. Richard Cantor, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can I
Thank
get
you.
your full name and address, please?
Yeah, it's Jan Richard Cantor for 3000 Young Street, Unit 311.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask, do you have any objection? The applicant is requesting a deferral to discuss issues with city planning. Have you had do you have any objections to a deferral?
No, I do not have any objections at this
Okay,
time.
thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to Ms. Stewart. Ms. Stewart, are you there? Okay. Ms. Stewart, are you still there?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay,
Sorry, I
thank
just
you.
took a minute to unmute.
We've heard from our deputants. If I could get, we'll take it into committee. Can I get a motion on the deferral, please? Mr. Hunt?
Mr. Chair, I would, based on the request of the applicant, I would move that this be deferred sine die in order for them to discuss further the variances with planning.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, Madam. Your application's been deferred to the next available meeting so that you can discuss your issues with city planning. I also suggest you discuss it with the surrounding neighbors as well. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Now go back to our regular agenda. We'll start off with item number 1, 68, the bridle path. I have one person registered to speak. That's Michael Goldberg. Are you there, sir?
I am. I am here. Michael Goldberg from Goldberg Group.
Yes, hello, sir. Can you speak up a bit?
I can. Do you not hear me well?
Okay, can I get your full name and address, please?
Michael Goldberg, Goldberg Group, 2098 Avenue Road, Toronto, M5M 4A8.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Just before we start, I note that there's a staff report from City Planning dated the 16th of September. They were recommending that if your application is approved, that the following conditions be attached: that the driveway shall be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing attached to this report, The building height shall be developed substantially in accordance with the roof plan drawing attached to this report, and that the applicant shall submit an application for a Toronto Water Technical Review for a reverse slope driveway. We also have a report from Transportation Services dated the 16th of September, which is recommending that your application be deferred because they want the driveway in the public right-of-way reduced to 6.0 meters, and adding a notation on the site plan basically stating that all portions of the existing access driveway that are no longer required are closed and restored with soft landscaping, a standard approval condition. Would you like to defer your application to discuss this issue with Transportation Services, sir?
No, sir. I would suggest an alternative approach if the committee would please consider this. I
Okay,
would
well,
like to
just a
proceed
moment, sir. I
the
just one more thing just to add. There was also a report from Toronto Region Conservation Authority dated the 15th of September, and they had no objections to your application. So I just wanted to make sure you've read all those reports, sir.
Yes, and I've also read the urban forestry report as well.
Okay, thank you very much. If you could just tell us then what, with respect to the Transportation Services report, did you want to defer your application to discuss this issue with them?
No, I would suggest an alternative, Mr. Chair and members of committee. Right underneath the paragraph where, under conclusions, where he says, Mr. Godley recommends deferral, he adds number 1 and 2. And I would be entirely satisfied if the committee attached number 1 and 2 as conditions of its minor variance approval.
Okay, yeah, so what you're basically saying is that if committee should see merit in your proposal, that we attach those two conditions from, we attach those, basically make a condition of approval that the driveways is 6 meters in the right-of-way, and then the permit requirement as described in the Transportation Services report. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to ask, is there, I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for in your application. We have no one else who's registered to speak on this item. I think the committee's pretty clear in what you're asking for. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this morning?
There isn't. In the event that the committee wanted a presentation, I have prepared and submitted a presentation. If the committee does not require a presentation, I'm happy that you proceed and I can answer any questions. But there is a presentation if the committee wishes the benefit of that.
I'll just ask the committee. Does the committee require a presentation on this application? No, we don't. We don't. Thank you very much, sir. I'll just ask, does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I think that the application and the way that it's presented makes sense to me. I quite like that the agent has decided to follow transportation's concerns, and that was my major concern. With that being rectified in terms of adding it to a decision that I'm going to make here today, I think that that should address transportation's concern. So for that reason, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application. I'll make it, first of all, subject to the September 16th staff report, and I'll just read those specific conditions, which I'll make it subject to, that that the driveway be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan, but I will be adding the transportation conditions to that, that the building height be developed substantially in accordance with the roof plan drawing that was attached to the report, and that the applicant shall submit an application for Toronto Water Technical Review for the reverse slope driveway. Additionally, I know that Ravine and Forestry have no concerns, but I will make it subject to the September 16th transportation report in that the applicant is to reduce the width of the driveway within the right-of-way for 6 meters and add a notation on the site plan drawing stating that all portions of the existing access driveway are no longer required and must be closed and restored with soft landscaping and full concrete curbs at no cost to the city and to the satisfaction of transportation services. Unless there's anything else that my colleagues would like to do friendly amendments, that would be my motion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning and transportation services conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of committee.
Thank you, sir. We'll now go to item number 2, which is 565 St. Clements Avenue. I have 3 people registered to speak. The agent is a Mr. Lauren Ross. Are you there, sir?
Yes, it's Lauren Rose, 388 Spadina Road.
Okay, thank you, sir. Could I, yes, you've given us your address. Just wanted to say, sir, I note that there's some staff comments on your application. There's recommended conditions from Urban Forestry. There's a city planning report dated the 15th of September. They were recommending refusing variance number 15 for the proposed building height and variance number 16 for the proposed number of stories. Then if the committee should approve the revised application, staff recommends that the proposal is constructed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the committee, included as attachment number 1 to this report. I just wanted to ask, sir, in view of the fact that you have these, a recommendation from planning recommending refusing variances 15 and 16, would you like to defer your application to discuss this with planning, or would you like to proceed today? Mr. Rose, are you there? Mr. Rose, are you there?
Mr. Chair, members, Lauren is still present on the call. He is still he is unmuted. I'm unsure why we cannot hear him.
Mr. Rose, are you there? One more time. Mr. Rose, are you there? What we're going to defer, I'll hold this item down and we'll come back to it. We'll proceed to item number 3, which is 101 Van Horn Avenue. I have 3, I have 1, 2 people registered to speak. The first is the agent, Rochelle Moncars. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, hello. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Rochelle Moncars of Snyder Architects, 260 King Street East.
Okay, thank you. Madam, I noticed that there was a couple of reports from city staff on file with your application. There's one from Transportation Services dated the 16th of September. They have no objections to your application. And there's also a Urban Forestry report which had recommended conditions. I just wanted to ask, since we have one other person registered to speak, which appears to be, no, that's a representative from the TCDSB. So there's no other persons registered to speak from the area. I'll just ask, is there anything, I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for with respect to the elementary school and childcare, the new school there. I just wanted to ask, Madam, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this morning?
The only thing to add is that I believe planning also sent a notice to the committee that they have no objections to the variances.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Marquez, my question is about variance number 3. You need 3 stories. could you clarify why you need 3 stories while it is not allowed?
Yes, so the proposed school and childcare building is intensifying the site use. 2 schools are being amalgamated on the site, and a 5-room childcare is being added as well. So it'll provide a community amenity for 525 pupils as well as 88 children in the childcare. And a main concern of the community was to maximize the green space on the site. That is why we've gone to a more compact footprint, which results in 3 stories, in order to have as large a play space and as much green space as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I do want to acknowledge that there were, a number of letters of some concerns around traffic congestion and concrete barriers and some other concerns that honestly can't be addressed within this forum of committee, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I wanted to say that I do agree with you, Mr. Chair. I think that the application stands on its own merit in terms of my own personal review, and I do believe it meets the 4 tests. And I think as well, the overall objective for childcare spaces in the city is very compelling to me. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application, and I will make it subject to forestry.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go back to item number 2, 565 St. Clements Avenue. Mr. Rose, are you there? (565 St. Clements Avenue). Lauren Rose, are you there?
Mr. Chair, members, Lauren is unmuted. He is able to
There,
speak.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Lauren. Thank you.
Mr.
Sorry
Rose, can
about
you
this.
hear us?
Yes, I can. I'm so sorry. Rogers is giving me a real problem.
Okay, sir. Could I ask that you speak up, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. I just wanted to ask, sir, in view, as I don't know if you heard me before, but in view of City Planning's report of the 15th of September, they're recommending that we refuse variances numbers 15 and 16, one related to building height and the latter, which is the number of stories. Would you like to defer your application to discuss this issue with these issues with City Planning?
No, Mr. Chair, I have discussed this and I will show you why the impact of this design is less than a building with a sloped roof, similar as I did at 714 Briar Hill with this committee.
Okay, thank you, sir. What I'll do then is if you could give the committee a presentation, because we have a couple of other people who are interested in this application who are deputants. So if you could please give the committee a presentation, sir.
Sure, I'm going to be brief. If staff can put up the visual images we sent in with houses on the street, what I'm going to point out is this is the exact reason that the OA has appealed the bylaw for height, because 3-story houses are allowed in this neighborhood and there are plenty. It's architectural control to say that flat roof houses can't have 3 stories when they're allowed everywhere else. Architectural control should never be part of a bylaw. So if staff can put up those images that we sent in. Oh, you might be frozen now.
No, Lauren, there's just a partial delay. You can continue with your presentation.
I will agree with all of the elements of the report except for height and 3 stories. The reason we're back here is because the planning department, the zoning department actually missed the 3-story variance, so we had to defer. So these are houses on the street, close proximity. If you can go to the second image. This house is basically across the street, had very similar variances, but somehow did not have to have a variance for the third story, which you can see, and did not have to have a height variance. We're allowed 11 meters here. If staff could then put up my elevations, so just scroll through, continue to scroll through. There's many 3-story houses on the street. I apologize. 3 stories there. 3 stories plus a below-grade garage. This one is considered 2 stories, perhaps, but there's no one who could tell me that is not a 3-story house in appearance. 3 stories, 3 stories, all in close proximity, another 3-story. Staff could put up my elevations. I have a very good illustration of why this is actually has less impact than a sloped roof. This is the same argument I made about a month and a half ago at 714 Briar Hill, where staff also objected to the 3 stories and the height. If you can see, I have drawn, if staff, maybe staff can blow that up a little bit. I have drawn in with a red line what a sloped roof that complies with the bylaw might look like. I've asked the planning staff to explain to me how this could have any more impact on the environment. You're going to see much greater amounts of sky. They did not want to respond. All they said is it's policy. Well, nobody can tell me that this has more impact on the neighborhood than a house with a sloped roof, where you're going to see less sky and more shadow impact. So for those reasons, just as we did at 714 Briar Hill, in the immediate neighborhood, I'm going to set forth that this has less impact than a house with a sloped roof and is worthy of your approval. The rest of the comments from planning staff, I have absolutely no problem with. They explain why the house is longer than what it appears to be because the rear terrace is excavated. With that, I'll let the neighbors speak and I can rebut or answer any questions that staff or committee has.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rose. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next speaker on the list. I have a Michael Bellman. Are you there?
I am Michael Bellman, 567 St. Clements Avenue.
Yes, sir.
I am the abutting.
If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
Certainly. I am the abutting neighbor on the west side. I note that in the online materials, it appears that there are 2 recent letters of support. And as a point of procedure, Mr. Chair, I'd like to point out that the notice of this hearing states that all written submissions are to be received no later than 4:30 p.m. on September 16th. And these 2 letters of support seem to have appeared at the last moment and were uploaded into the file yesterday. And I would suggest that they are not properly before the committee and they should be disregarded. Having said that, now I'd like to address a few of my concerns. Both the existing structure at 565 and ours are original structures. Foundation has been undisturbed for approximately 70 years. Given the request for the west side setback, we are concerned that excavation could disturb the integrity of our foundation. If the committee sees fit, nonetheless, to grant this variance over our objections, we would ask that a condition of that grant be that shoring or similar systems be used to preserve the integrity of the foundation. I also note that the proposed structure has a very large flat roof of approximately 2,400 square feet, a little bit more than that. That roof is going to collect a considerable amount of precipitation that's going to need to be discharged. The rear canopy that their setback that the application seeks is 0.61 meters from the lot line. So that's going to be even closer than the rest of the property. So there's very little room between the houses to discharge and absorb rainwater. In Toronto, we now have rains that reach 20 millimeters or more on a regular basis.
Sir, I don't mean,
Yes.
sir, I don't mean to interrupt, but the committee doesn't deal with drainage issues. Drainage issues are, if this application is approved, the applicant will have to submit a lot grading plan to the building division that shows that all his stormwater is managed on site. So I would focus on the planning issues and on the variances that you have before you.
Certainly. The proposed structure is going to extend quite a bit further back than neighboring structures. The rear of the proposed structure also has a second floor, they're seeking to get a variance for a large walkout balcony that is 160% larger than the what is permitted under the bylaw. This increased size would permit uses and occupancy that would not be possible otherwise. Thus, the potential for greater oversight of our backyard and a greater invasion of our privacy. And so we ask that the request to have the balcony the variance for the balcony be denied. That, I believe, is variance number 8.
Okay.
So it would have, our objections are, to conclude, our objections are to the setbacks for both the structure and the canopy, as well as the rear second floor balcony, those variances.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Khan, we've lost your voice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's been.
Sir, I heard the applicant and his concern. One of the concerns that he's expressing that about his foundation. My question is, I mean, is it based on the basis that when they will excavate and put the house foundation, would it encroach their property line or what? Why he is concerned?
Hello? It is further encroaching on the property line, and we have concerns that doing so, first of all, is going to disturb could disturb and affect the integrity of the foundation, of our foundation. And so it would be best if there was additional space to maintain the status quo between the properties. But if not, then at a minimum, they should take extra steps to preserve the integrity of the foundation through shoring. I have discussed these concerns with the applicant as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? Ms. Sankar?
Just a quick one. Sir, in terms of variance number 8, is that something that could be solved in terms of the rear balcony if these are privacy issues that, you know, if we end up putting up a privacy barrier, some kind of privacy fencing along that balcony, would that at least alleviate some of your concerns?
Well, it certainly would. I can say that I've canvassed that issue with the applicant and received no response. So I would entertain any suggestions that they might have, but at this point, they have not been forthcoming.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? We have the next person on the list. I don't have a full full name here. I just have initials. I have a JJK. Are you there?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that's Mr. Jerry Kyrens, and they are not present on the call at this time.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to also bring to your attention, we have also had a late submission of a area resident who wanted to speak on this file, and Alan Borowski, but again, they are also not present. With that being said, I only was able just to send them the link now to join over the last 20 minutes. So
And you've had no luck. He has not responded.
neither of the two last 8 items folks are present on the call at this time, no.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wells. We'll go back to Mr. Rose. Mr. Rose, you heard the comments from Mr. Bellman, if you'd like to respond.
Yes, you pointed out that many of his issues are not relevant to planning. I will say that flat roofs get the same amount of water that has to drain as a sloped roof, so I didn't understand that point. We have agreed with Mr. Bellman that we will do shoring, so his concerns about his foundation shouldn't be a concern. We will not be encroaching on his property line. I'll note that his setback, if you look at the site plan, his setback is a lot less than we're proposing, side yard setback. As for his other concern was the overhang of the architectural feature, which projects a foot into the side yard. I'll say that if this had a sloped roof, our projection could be an extra foot larger. So this is just an architectural element, but because it's not an eave of a standard roof, it becomes a variance. So if we had the sloped roof, I could have a 2-foot overhang, or 0.6 meters. In this case, this is an architectural feature that overhangs 0.3 of a meter. So I suggest it's very similar to an eave, and it's not throughout the whole house. So those were his planning concerns. So I think I've addressed that. I'm happy to put up a privacy screen on the balcony if that's an issue. More than happy to make it a condition, a 5-foot-high privacy screen on his side, because the other neighbor hasn't objected.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rose. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm pretty happy that the applicant or agent has discussed the concerns surrounding the staff report. You know, I accept the explanations he's provided as well as the evidence around other third stories within the area. I think that at least sold me in that this is a characteristic of the neighborhood. And in terms of just sort of the technical details for why, you know, the variances have been measured in the way that they have, I accept those explanations as well. I'm kind of glad that in terms of variance number 3 with the overhang of the canopy and sort of the concerns that he's worked out with the neighbor with respect to the foundation, even though that's not part of our ability to make a decision here. I think it's being recorded, and I hope that the neighbor would be satisfied that there will be some agreement worked out there, as well as variance number 8 with the agreement that a privacy barrier would be erected on, I think it's the east side, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to make my motion based on that. So given all of the above, I do believe now this application does meet the 4 tests. I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application, and I'll make it subject to the September 15th staff report, in that the proposal be constructed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the committee. I'll make it subject to forestry, and as per variance number 8, a privacy barrier will be erected to the height from floor, from the balcony floor upwards of 5 feet tall on the side that affects the neighbor who spoke today. I think that's the east side. And that's my motion. It's subject to forestry, I think, as well, right? I said that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Do I have someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application is approved, subject to urban forestry, city planning, and again, the requirement that you install a privacy barrier along the second floor balcony at a height of 1.5 meters, which is 5 feet. So those are the conditions that we've approved. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're on item number 4, which is 6 Sandwin Court. And I have,
Mr. Chair, the speaker for the item will be Ashweek Chabar.
okay, thank you, Mr. Wills. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 speakers on this particular application. Would committee like to take a brief recess and we'll come back and deal with this one? Because this could take a little while. We'll take 2 minutes. Thank you.
Enter the event panelist numeric password, followed by pound.
Ladies and gentlemen, committee's back in session. Thank you very much. As I said, we're on item number 4, which is 6 Sandwin Court. I have 9 people registered to speak, and the agent is an Ashweek Chabra. Are you there? Ashweek Chabra, are you there? Yes, hello. Can I
Yes,
get
sir.
your full
Can you
name
hear
and
me?
address, please?
My full name is Ashweek Chabra, and my address is 39 Cherry Road, Scarborough, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just want to ask, I note that there's a couple of staff reports on file with your application. There's one from City Planning dated the 16th of September, recommending modifications to the application that apparently you've agreed to, which is reducing variance number 3, the lot coverage, from 36.3% to 31.4%, and reducing variance number 5 regarding the rear yard setback from 2.79 meters to 6.39 meters. And should the committee approve the application, staff recommends that the side main wall be developed substantially in accordance with the south side elevation drawing attached to this report. And we have a letter from Councillor Carroll dated the 10th of September, which recommends that your application be refused. Sir, I just wanted to ask, with respect to, have you had the opportunity to review both the planning report and Councillor Carroll's letters?
Yes, sir. I have reviewed both things.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask, now, are you going to make those modifications to your application that were described in the city planning report?
Yes, sir. We have already agreed upon that modifications.
Okay, sir, if you
So
could tell
we
the
can
committee,
do
then
that.
if you could please put it on record as to what changes you're proposing to make.
Ashweek, for further clarification, if you could use the public notice mailed out to everybody and go through each item that you plan to change, noting the variance number listed on public notice, and then the change that you want to make, so you can read it officially into the record for us.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing is the minimum front yard setback, which is like 8.01 meters because of the bylaws. So we have proposed the setback of 5.71 meter because we wanted to accommodate an elevator for the house
Hang on,
owner.
sir. If you're proposing to make changes to your application, can you tell the committee what those changes are right now, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. So we have reduced the area already, the lot area, it's variance number 3. So we have reduced the lot area from 36.3% to 31.14%. And then the variance number 5, we have changed the rear yard setback from 2.79 meter to 6.39 meters. And in the report, we have also attached the south elevation of the house, which we are gonna proceed with the same drawings.
Okay, so we have, you're proposing to change variance number 3, which is the proposed lot coverage, is being reduced from 36.3% to 31.14%, is that correct?
Yes.
Variance number 5, the proposed rear yard setback is 2.79 meters. You're increasing that to 6.39 meters.
Yes, sir.
And you're not proposing any other changes to the remaining variances.
No.
Okay, thank you. If you, in view of the fact that we have speakers, other speakers to depute on this application, sir, if you could give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your revised application.
Yes, sir. So in the revised application, we have proposed sunroom and a deck in the back. So we have removed that from the revised application. And the
Sir, are you going to make a presentation?
yeah, sure.
Okay, you have anything to add?
Not really, sir. Like I already addressed all this issue. I have mailed a letter to the committee. So can we go on that?
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? And being none, we'll move to the next person on the list. I have a Mike Lazaridis. I probably mispronounced that. Are you there, sir?
I am.
Mr. Lazaridis, are you there?
I am.
Yeah, can
am.
you speak
hear
up,
me?
sir? We can't hear you.
Hi, it's Mike Lazaridis. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. If I could get your full name and address, please, sir.
Mike Lazaridis at 5 Salinger Court, North York, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
I'm in favor of the application. I feel that they're doing some improvements in the neighborhood, and that just helps the neighborhood and the values of the neighborhood. It's been an old and tired neighborhood for a while, and I think any improvement right now would help considerably.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll move to the next person on the list. I have Luann Pereira. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
It's Luann Pereira, 45 Crossings Way, Hannon, Ontario.
Okay, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
I would just like to say that I'm in favor as well of the changes that are being made. And I know just for some medical reasons, like the owner of the household has required some additional support. So this would be beneficial for her as well. I'm actually the daughter-in-law of the household, and we've had to make some trips down there just to help her in terms of some disability issues. And so I think this would be some beneficial changes that are made to the property.
Okay, madam, do you live in the area?
I don't know. I live in Hamilton, but we drive down pretty often to provide some assistance.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, thank you. I have a Michael Samidis. Are you there?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can I get your full name and address?
Michael Samidis, 181 Fairglen Avenue.
Okay, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
I just feel that she's planning on, from what we know from experience, renting out the rooms that she's proposing in the plans. She's rented the basement out before, and we just feel as though this neighborhood is not, it's been a quiet cul-de-sac. I grew up on the street. My parents live at 8 Sandwin Court. And we just feel that going forward with this project is not really correcting or improving the neighborhood. In fact, what we feel is going to happen is with the additional potential people moving in and renting the basement, as we know, plus the potential of an additional 5 bedrooms with their own bathrooms upstairs. We feel that there's going to be a lot of pollution, loitering, noise pollution. Where's all the garbage going to go? The cars, there's no parking for it. We just have the concern about it being a rooming house and disturbing the quiet neighborhood. My parents have 8 grandchildren that we frequent on a daily basis. And previously there was somebody renting there that was outside doing unlawful things like smoking and drugs. And we don't want to have those type of people in our neighborhood in this quiet cul-de-sac. It's a very quiet, quaint street where everybody knows each other. And with the potential of this rooming house going up, which we feel that's what her intentions are, we're going to lose out on the quaintness of the street. And we won't know who our neighbors are because it'll be like a revolving door going in and out. And that's what our concerns are here, that she's expanding this as a retirement fund for her to make some more income. Now, we're in favor of her renting out her basement as an apartment, but to do the whole house is that there's a potential of 8 bedrooms and if you multiply 2 people per bedroom, there's a potential there of being 20 extra people in this one house. And that's what our major concern is at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll move to the next person on the list. I have a Kotas Kokonakis. Are you there?
Yes, I am, sir.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Kostas Kokonakis. I live at Unit 402 at 35 Bryant Peck, and I'm representing the owners of the home at 3 Sandwin, which are my parents.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
Well, first of all, I'd like to comment that a number of submissions were given to the committee after the final due date of the 16th of September. And I strike that those be removed because certain information was given with my submission that was rebutted after. And I felt that my insight into this gave them opportunity to rebut my arguments.
Sir, if you
I'm here.
Can you tell the committee what your concerns are with the application, please?
Oh, with the application?
Yes.
Based on my concern with the application is the potential of altering the zoning from a single family dwelling to a multi-tenanted unit. I looked at the floor plans and examined them. The second story contains 4 bedrooms with a library potentially, which could become another bedroom, with no kitchen up there. So the potential of it being used as a separate suite is, I don't see it happening. There's another bedroom on the main floor. Now, indication from the owner's letter is that would be for her physical disabilities. Now, I wasn't aware of any physical disabilities. I mean, personally, I haven't seen her walking with any of the aids she lists, but I'm not going to doubt that she did or didn't. I just didn't see it. But I'm wondering, how can you attach stairs on that bedroom to exit that room if you have disabilities? So I'm just a suspect, as the prior speaker, on the potential of this becoming a rooming house. And indication of the past, as someone who's lived here since 1986, I don't live here now, but I've seen about 20 years of revolving tenants. I've seen arguments on the street with tenants. It has become a bit of a joke here because everybody, like in the surrounding streets of Sandwin, knows this fact, and we're constantly aware of it. I mean, I've spoken to a neighbor who's indicated that at one time the owner admitted to her that she had somebody living in her laundry room. That to me is absurd for a small little cul-de-sac like this. So she's brought up petitions from other neighbors in the neighborhood, and most of them don't even live on the street. So that is my concern. Those are my concerns to the zoning. I'd also like to bring attention to the the paper that was submitted from Studio 4, he indicated some evidence of prior changes to other buildings. And I looked at the 47 Edmonton, and that house does not exist there. And I ask you right now, you can Google search it and see that that house does not exist at that street address. I got it right here. 47 Edmonton Drive. Google it if anybody can there, and you will see that I don't know, that house is not there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I heard he was complaining about the single dwelling converted into a multi people living there or coming there.
Yes.
I would advise him, sir, this is not the jurisdiction. This is not a variance before us. It is a concern you should address to the Property Standard Committee or MLS. It is their jurisdiction to look into it. And there is no such variance before us that this being considered. We have 6 variances here and your concern is not addressed. So I would advise you to address that particular thing to the Property Standard Committee.
And your responsibility is not to what the potential use of the building could be?
No, sir, that's not that's not what's before the committee. The committee is all that's before the committee, sir, is an application for a single family home.
Okay.
Thank you. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next application, the next person on the list. We have a George Servinus. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
It's George Servinus at 4 Sandwin Court.
Okay, sir, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on the application.
Yes, I wrote a letter to the committee with my concerns. I don't know if you have that there.
Yeah, we have it here.
Okay, that pretty much states everything that I'm concerned about. Also, I'm going to be moving out, and my mother is going to be there by herself, and we have also her safety concerns because of the increased traffic on the street and the people that are going to be renting the house next door. Also, the second balcony, privacy issues for my mother. The south property line, which is adjacent to our north side. They want to move from 1.8 to 0.65. I also object that she had a letter stating that number 4 had no objections to all this going on, and that is not true. I do object to almost everything that she's stated.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Sue Antinos. Are you there? Sue Antinos, are you there?
Mr. Chair, they're present, but they're locked in twice. So I'll give it a shot here. Sue, go ahead.
Sue Antinos, are you there? We'll come back to you. Next person on the list is Maria De Silva. Are you there?
Yes, hello, Mr. Chair. I am here.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Maria De Silva, and I am at 5 Sandwin Court. But I am here just to listen into this, so no comments.
So if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application, madam?
Mr. Chair, she just made a mention that she was just here to watch and listen to the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. Thank you. go
Mr.
to the
Chair, let's
next
try
person
Sue
on the
again.
list.
Let's try Sue again first.
Is Sue Antinos, are you there? Sue Antinos, are you there? No, we'll go to the next person on the list. Frank Samitas, are you there?
One moment, Mr. Chair.
Frank Samitas, are you
Yeah,
there?
I'm here.
Yes, can I
I'm
get your
here.
full
Can you hear
name
me?
and address, please?
I am at 46 Orangewood Crescent in Scarborough, and I'm representing the homeowners at 8 Sandwin Court, my parents,
Okay,
that have
thank
lived
you.
there for over 40 years.
Okay, please proceed. Give us your thoughts on the application.
I have a couple of concerns with the information that has been submitted because we had, just like the other gentleman said, a deadline of September 16th when the staff report was submitted. And then we had Mr. Chabara submit his changes according to the Studio 4 contract, that he has made numerous changes on his that do not seem to be accurate. And when you guys asked him what his changes were, he was only making changes to number 1 and number 2. Made no mention for the major development of the wall on the elevation on the south side of their building. I'd like to discuss number 2 personally because that one is directly next to our home, where we have a main walkway going to the back of the house and the only way to get to the back of the house. And this poses a serious safety concern because it is a walkway and because my parents are elderly, they are almost 80 years old. The proposed platform on the north side setback is only 0.14 meters from the property line. There's no mention of it being reduced by Mr. Chabara, but if there's ice and snow falling off that roof, it will be directly on our walkway, which poses a slip and fall hazard to my parents and the numerous grandkids that go by there almost on a daily basis. That's our first and foremost concern. After that, there was some changes made, and Mr. Chabara said that the setback was the minimum required setback in number 5 was 7.53 meters. They proposed 2.79 meters because of the sunroom. In his proposal, he said that he's changing it to 6.79, but he told the committee that he is changing it to 6.39. So which way is it? It's very unclear what changes he's proposed to make and which ones he's going to not make. He's got 1 in 1 proposal, 1 he told you guys, and they're not even accurate. The other concern is number 4 with the viewing platform on the rear of the home. I feel that 7.14 meters is a very big viewing platform, and that is in direct sight of our backyard. We have 8 grandchildren that swim in their grandparents' pool and should feel free to swim without wandering eyes on them, beating down in the only sitting area that we have in the backyard and the swimming pool. So to me, that platform is a little high and a little too excessive in my opinion. The lot coverage was addressed. The minimum front yard requirement of the setback of 5.71 in order to make space for an elevator. We have been living at that household for over 40 years. Like I said, I have never, ever seen this individual in a wheelchair or with a walker. She has a cane once in a while, but I've seen her numerous occasions standing on one leg, leaning up on people's steps, talking to them, weight bearing, absolutely no problem, full balance, walking forwards, backwards, and going up steps on her front from the driveway onto her walkway, and then once again, another step going into her home. So I feel that a lot of these variances have not been addressed and they are incomplete in my opinion. And I would like to pass a motion that whatever information was submitted after September 16th should not be looked at. And we need some more clarification by Studio 4 and what exactly they're proposing to make changes to make this house a safe house for everybody involved, the people that will be living there and the community.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go back to Sue Antinos. Are you there? Sue Antinos, are you there?
Mr. Chair, they are present on the call, and they are unmuted. They're logged in on two different, under two different.
I'll ask one more time, but I'm not going to proceed if they're not answering. Sue Antinos, this is your last chance. Are you there? Okay, thank you. No, we'll take her off the list. Thank you. We have no other persons registered to speak. I will go back to the agent, Ashweek Chabra. Are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there. Actually, we have also added like our client, Ms. Poonam Dheed to speak. So I guess
No,
it's
sir,
not
sir,
on the list.
Sir,
So
you're the agent, correct? You're speaking. So if you
Yeah.
can, if you can respond to the concerns raised by the previous speakers.
yes, sir. So we have for the rooming houses, we have already submitted the inspection which happened in 2018. So the neighbor complaints on our or on the owner, and it was so the inspector from the city visited the house, 6 Sandwin Court in 2018, and they didn't found any tenants living there in the basement. There was only the owner's friend Natalie who was living there before. And for the changes, sir, we have already discussed the changes with Denise McMillan, who was the assigned planner to it. So for the letter, I'm sorry for that. We added a little late the letter, but yeah, and the issue about the setback, which was like the variance number 2, which we changed from 1.8 meter to 6.79 meter. If you want, I can go every variance one by one and give an explanation about it. But I want to clarify, the house is not going to be a rooming house. So it's not gonna be a lot of people living there. And what I understand from the neighbor's point of perspective, like they are raising a question about my client's disability. Like that's so bad. So they should not do that. Like they're telling you, they're telling to the committee if she is like disabled or not. Like they are no one to judge that point. So this is so bad.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to be clear, if you want to state for the record, sir, that this home that you're building is to be a single family dwelling. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And for the basement, we already have a legal basement permit from City of Toronto, which is already been approved, and we are currently doing the work in the basement. So for the upper floors, it's only gonna be my client who's gonna use the house, and no one else gonna live there. And sometimes
Sir,
she needs
a
support.
simple yes or no will suffice. It's a single family dwelling, correct?
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Mr. Chair, through you. First of all, I think that the agent made some good remarks in that we shouldn't take someone's disability lightly. So I hear that loud and clear. And, if that came across insensitive, I wanted to apologize on behalf of everyone that that's absolutely not acceptable. But in the same breath, I think that there are some points that the debutantes have made that leave me still unassured and still concerned. To say that whether this is a rooming house or not. Like, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, does this sort of meet the characteristic of the neighborhood? And I didn't see that much evidence presented that shows that accordingly. And not to mention that a lot of the other concerns did have some weight in terms of not just what the property will be used for, whether or not that's valid or not. There is some validity to the concerns that I think I've heard from the other residents within the neighborhood who are there on a daily basis and who've given testimony that I found rather convincing. Not to mention, a counselor's letter of someone directly in that neighborhood who shares similar concerns. And that's apart from also the staff concerns, even though you've tried to address some of those. That being said, I just am not comfortable with this application. And I think that the debutants have kind of convinced me to say that I don't think that it meets the 4 tests, in my view. So for that reason, I'll be refusing this application. That's my motion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sankar. I have a motion from Ms. Sankar to refuse the application. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds that. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan, and we have, yes, thank you, Mr. Kidd dissenting as well. So we have a tie. I'll support Ms. Sankar's motion, and that application is refused. Sir, thank you very much, but your application has been refused. We'll now proceed to item number 5, 11 Gatehead Road.
Yes.
I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent, Lee Liu. Are you there?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
actually,
I'm alone.
there is an area
Yes.
resident that wants to speak on this file, Daniel Eugene.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
Daniel Eugen, are you there?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, that's the area resident. Lee Liu is the agent for the file, and then there's an area resident by the name of Daniel
Okay,
Eugene.
thank you. Lee Liu, are you there?
Yes, I'm the owner.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Li Liu. The address is 11 Gatehead Road. North York.
Ms. Liu, I just wanted to ask before we go any further, there's a report from City Planning on your application. It's dated the 23rd of September, and it recommends a deferral because it indicates that there have been additional variances identified that are not listed on the notice. Have you had the opportunity to review that report from City Planning?
Yes, yes.
So
I already, yes.
So you understand that if there are variances that have been missed, we can't go forward with your application. You have to defer it in order to get your application revised. You understand that, madam?
No, I didn't understand.
Madam, have you had the opportunity?
Yes.
Have you had the opportunity to review the city planning report of the 23rd of September?
Yes.
And you understand they've indicated that there are variances that you require additional variances that aren't listed on the notice that was distributed to the public. You understand that?
Yes. Yes.
So that means, madam, we can't hear your application. You have to go back and you have to get your notice corrected.
No, we already correct and
Madam,
planner already sent to the item.
Madam, I would suggest you have to defer your application because there's it hasn't captured the required variances. So we can't deal with your application. It has to be revised, it has to be recirculated.
Mr. Chairman, it sounds like she wants to proceed with this application, taking the risk.
I understand, but
So
she's not requesting a deferral either.
No, she's not.
So how
So
can
if
we
she wants to
deal with it if
proceed,
they're missing the variances?
then you deal with the variances that are before you. And if there's variances that come afterwards, she'd have to reapply. She seems to understand the risks she's taking and wants to proceed.
Okay, madam, madam, if you want to proceed, we can proceed. We have one other person registered
Because
to
Mr. Chairman,
speak.
if you look at the, Mr. Chairman, sorry, if you look at the planning report, it says if she decides not to defer it, then planning recommends refusal.
Yeah, I understand that. That's what I'm telling her. Madam, if you'd like to proceed, then we have one other person who's registered to speak, so you'll have to make a presentation to the committee. Would you like to do that?
Okay.
Madam, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, can you make a presentation on what you see as, you understand the report from city planning, which says you're missing variances. If you don't defer the application, that planning recommends your application be refused. You want to proceed with the current application we have before us, then we can proceed. Okay, but you have to make a presentation to the committee on why we should approve your application.
Okay.
So please proceed.
Okay. Because you know, I just my parents live with me. I just want to add one
Madam,
more
we're having trouble hearing you. You have to, can you speak directly into your phone, please?
Yes. Yes. Hello? Could you hear clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. For my property, because my parents will live with me, so I want one more.
Madam, we can't hear you. You keep fading in and out. Can you speak into your phone, please?
Okay. Okay. Could you hear clearly? Hello?
Yes, please
Mr. Chair,
proceed.
is there a possibility that I could say something before she starts? Sir, please.
Okay, can you restart, madam? Please go.
Okay. Okay. Hello?
Madam, we can hear you. Can you please proceed?
Okay. Okay. And because my parents live with me, so I want to achieve one more bedroom above the garage. So the first one, the 1.24 meter was actually to existing garage. The proposed addition above garage linked with the garage. The proposed addition behind the garage has a setback of 2.13 meter, I think. And the second, related to the attic in the next item, number 3, the other wall allow than 7.5 meters. The third one is this is to achieve one more bedroom because we live with my parents and my husband and our 2 teenager children. We need one more bedroom. The fourth one is similar reason as above. We need a bigger space for all of us. Also, we need to add an elevator in the house for my parents travel up and down different floors. The fifth is my parents are 80 years old, so most of the time they stay at their room. A balcony beside their room help them getting outside easily and more often go for their health. The sixth one is our balcony in the west side is only 1.2 meters deep. The seventh is the front yard setback was exacting no change in the purpose, and it's
9.2 and 9.16 meters, which comply with the current zoning bylaw. And the 8.1 is the building height complies with the current zoning bylaw, which is 10 meter. Also, we are at the northwest corner. We won't block any sunshine or light to our neighbors because my house is in the corner. Okay, I finished.
Okay, thank you, madam. I'm just
Okay,
going to
thank
read
you.
this out, madam, because I don't think, I'm going to read out this text from city planning. I just want you to be aware of it. The applicant submitted new plans and revised Toronto Building Zoning Review, which identifies 3 additional variances to the committee after the public notice was circulated. As such, planning staff recommends this application be deferred to allow a new public notice to be circulated that reflects the revised application. However, should the applicant decide to proceed with the application, city planning staff recommended that the application be refused. I wanted you to be aware of that, madam. So we'll go to the next. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next speaker on the list. Daniel Eugen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Eugen, if you could give us your thoughts on this application?
Okay, so I mean, if I give my thoughts on this and there's another application coming forward, then I guess I'll have to speak at that time as well, right?
Well, the agent has decided to proceed with his application, even though city planning has recommended a deferral. That's their right. So if you'd like to give us your thoughts on the application that's before us today.
No problem. Basically, she did read the existing list of variances, and a number of my neighbors and I have spoken, and they weren't able to participate today, but they agree that what's being asked is there is no such precedent on this street, and it's the variances being asked for are not in keeping with the style, the intrinsic nature of this neighborhood, and in particular this street. A third story on its own, it would be overbearing, not only for the surrounding properties, but precedent setting for the rest of the street, and therefore a risk to other houses, not just the adjacent ones. They also want taller maximums for each floor, a larger overall footprint for the entire house. And it's basically excessive capacity for the lot and the surrounding area. It's very imposing. One of their neighbors has a large old tree, but other than that, on one corner, there is no vegetation or anything to provide privacy, especially given the limitations on fences in fence heights in the city. I know the property is being used as a rental property, and rental properties in the neighborhood have a history of being poorly managed. She says it's for her parents. I have the greatest respect for people that respect their parents and want to help them and bring them in. But if in future this house goes back to being a rental property, it would do nothing but increase the risk of increased impact from renters. And there are other rental properties in the neighborhood, on Gatehead in particular, that have been poorly managed, one of which had multiple incidents with the city, where it had to be brought in to the point where the property is now being demolished. It was just very run down, and, even with direct communication with the owner of that house, there was nothing ever done to constrain and restrain their residents. And there are many other major renovations going on in the property even now. Not the property, the street even now, to other houses. And they do so within the confines of the existing structure, or they maintain substantially the same style and size of the existing structure, so that it meets the standards and style of the neighborhood. So these variances, I don't think they're minor. I think families have been raised in these homes with parents and multiple generations. So no, on behalf of some other neighbors and myself, I think these are excessive.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go back to the agent. Are you there, madam? Yes, madam, you've heard the comments from the previous speaker. If you'd like to reply to them. Madam, would you like to respond to the comments from the previous speaker?
Hello, yes.
Would you like to respond to the comments from the previous speaker?
Okay.
Can you respond to the comments from the previous speaker?
Yes.
Then please proceed.
Okay. I just want to know it's approved or not approved for my house.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
First, I'd like to preface this by saying I feel that this is really difficult, because I think at the beginning I was trying to allude that I think that there is a language barrier here, and I really don't think that this applicant understands fully well, you know, what's happening. To me, it's sort of clear in that sense, but I've been assured that you've stated this several times to her, and that staff themselves, I understood, had tried to explain what the consequences were outside of this forum. And so for those reasons, and we've now heard the application, I have no choice but to make this motion. And given that there's outstanding variances, and that the applicant has been advised many times, and there are opportunities as well that, you know, before coming here, you know, they were advised of this as well. I'll make the motion to refuse this application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. You're gonna have someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application has been unanimously refused. Thank you very much. Now on item number 6, 40 Chatfield Drive. I have one person registered to speak. That's Mr. Glenn Rubinoff. Are you there, Mr. Rubinoff?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rubinoff, I note with respect to staff comments, there's only one comment here from Urban Forestry. I think it's pretty, you have just the one variance before us with respect to the lot coverage. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. I'll just ask, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this morning?
So we'd like to defer today to get the revised zoning notice.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Oh, Mr. Khan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a straightforward application. And
Mr. Chairman, before we continue, did the agent just request a deferral?
Mr. Rubinoff, did you request a deferral? I'm sorry, Mr. Rubinoff, did you request a deferral? Mr. Wills, is he there?
Mr. Chair, members, Glenn Rubinoff is on the call. He is unmuted.
Mr. Rubinoff, are you there?
Mr. Chair, do you want us to stand this one down for a moment?
I'll put it, we'll come back to him.
Glenn, if you could log off and log back in, and we'll try your item again.
Okay, we'll go to item number 7, 112 Mona Drive. I have one person registered to speak. That's Bill Ross. Are you there, Mr. Ross?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Ross, can you speak up, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's better. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Bill Ross, number 9 Bestwick Lane, Uxbridge, Ontario.
Thank you, sir.
L9G4.
Thank you, sir. I note that there are no staff comments or recommended conditions with respect to your application. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. We just have the floor space index variance before us. I'd just like to ask, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this morning?
No, sir. They just need a small addition for a breakfast nook back of the house.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Okay, no questions. Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a straightforward application, minor variance. So I move this application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We'll go back to item number 6, 40 Chatfield Drive. Mr. Rubinoff, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I didn't know what was going on.
Okay,
I lost
thank you,
the
Mr.
connection.
Rubin. Mr. Rubinoff, I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood. Were you asking for a deferral?
Yes, I was asking for a deferral because the notice is not correct. The
Okay,
zoning
thank you.
notice is
Thank
missing.
you. So you have to go back and discuss with city building?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Could we get a motion on the deferral request, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As requested by the applicant that this application be deferred, I will move the motion that this application be deferred, signed, die.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been deferred to the next available meeting so that you can correct your variance. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Item number 8 has been deferred. That's 20 Graymar Avenue. We're on item number 9, 48 Edgecombe Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That is Drew Laszlo. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Mr. Laszlo. Can you speak up, please? And can I get your full name and address?
Yes, my name is Drew Laszlo. I'm agent for the owner. The address is 3317 Young Street.
Okay, thank you, sir. I noticed there's a couple of reports on file with your application. We have a recommended condition from Urban Forestry. There's a report from City Planning dated the 8th of September. They appear to have no objections to your application, provided that the property is developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the Committee of Adjustment attached as attachment number 1 to their report. I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for with respect to the 5 variances before us. I'll just ask, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee, sir, that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this morning?
No, thank you. I believe the proposal is pretty straightforward, as you mentioned.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the proposed variances are minor and that they meet the 4 tests for minor variance. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application, subject to the condition that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment and attached to the planning staff report dated September 8th, 2021, and also subject to forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second Mr. Kidd's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry and city planning conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Item number 10, 587 Deloraine. I have 3 people registered to speak.
Mr. Chair, please note our list actually shows 2 different area residents, but they are the same person ultimately. They just have different.
Sorry, Mr. Wills, I missed you there. What was that?
That's quite all right. We have quote unquote 2 area residents here to speak, but they are actually the same person, just under 2 different last names.
Oh, okay, all right.
And when it comes time to calling on the agent, or the area resident will call upon Sarah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have, 2 people registered to speak. Is the Andrew Trotter there? You're the agent. Are you there, sir? Mr. Trotter, are you there? Andrew Trotter, are you there?
Go ahead, Andy. You're unmuted.
Sorry, I've been having trouble because the power went out in my house.
Hello, sir. Can you speak?
I'm running out of data.
Hello,
My
sir.
name's
Can you
Andrew
speak up?
Trotter.
Can you speak up, sir? Can I get your full name and address?
Andy, please don't mute and unmute yourself. Let that be a responsibility of city staff. Go ahead, Andy.
You know, I'm really having trouble with my phone. I apologize.
Okay. Can you speak
Hello?
up, sir?
I need.
Sir, it's very hard to hear you. You have to speak up. Speak into your phone.
I'm okay. I'm trying to.
Hello, sir. Are you there?
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Barely. Very hard to hear you, sir.
I'm gonna. Okay, I'll try to talk as loud as I can. Can you hear that?
Yes, you'll have to.
Sounds good, Andy. Go ahead.
Okay, we have, if you could give us a, just wanted to ask, sir, there's a report from city planning dated the 15th of September, and it recommends that the lot coverage of the dwelling be limited to 35.36%, and the lot coverage of the proposed deck be limited to 8.05%. Have you had the opportunity to read that city planning report, sir?
Yes, I went to city planning right away with the zoning notice and started discussing this with them in August. And we worked together and came to what you see now. The plans that you see now are what I have come to the agreement with city planning.
Okay, so you have, okay, thank you. We have people who'd like to speak to this application, sir. So if you'd like to give us a presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Well, I don't see any issue with there was an existing deck the same distance out. It is a little wider, but the the neighbor to the west has, their house actually goes back 5 feet behind my client's house, and so that the deck is only partially ahead of the house next door. The house next door has at least a foot higher first floor, so I don't really see how. And we've also offered to talk with the neighbor. They haven't gotten back to us. We've contacted them a couple times. My client has. to try and talk about the privacy fence. Nothing was, the neighbor didn't get back to us on anything, whether they wanted it 5 feet or 6 feet. We put it at 6 feet. But I really don't see how this is really in any way intrusive to their backyard or house whatsoever.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wills, is it a Sarah Burke?
Yes.
Yes, Sarah Burke, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes. So my name is Sarah Burke / Barbalat. That is my married name. Apologies as my email comes in as both. I live at 589 Deloraine Avenue. My husband is actually also on. His name is Eitan. It's EITAN. He has dialed in. Is it possible to unmute him so he can speak? If not, I am happy to.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, we can unmute A10, but it should be noted
Thank you.
we prefer that we be one or the other since you guys both live in the same household.
Well, madam, are you there?
Yes, I said that's fine. He'll speak on my behalf as
Good,
well.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, let me just, I'll look. There he is. I found him here.
Okay.
Hi there. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yep. Eitan Barbalat, address 589 Deloraine Avenue.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application?
Yeah, sure. So thanks so much for the time to hear our position regarding the proposed rear deck plan at 587 Deloraine Avenue. We are the direct neighbors of this property to the west. We live at 589 Deloraine Avenue. We are here today to strongly oppose relief of the bylaws in question to building the proposed rear deck. The reasons are as follows. Number one, on our property, directly adjacent to our joint fence line with 587 Deloraine Avenue, we have a seating area with interlocking with numerous plants in a garden bed. These are at grade level. We use this area on a very frequent basis, almost on a daily basis now due to COVID. The reason we get so much enjoyment and use out of this area is that it is one of the only spots in our backyard that receives adequate sunlight. Something that's not seen on any of the drawings provided is that at the deep part of the lot in question, 587 Deloraine Avenue, there are many large trees that result in significant shade on the deep part of our lot. It's at least the last half of our lot, the part furthest away from our actual rear wall and dwelling. As a result, the only part of our lot that receives good sunlight is that closest to our dwelling. Sunlight is a huge commodity, and we purchased this property in part because we love this seating area and the associated garden bed. The proposed deck at 587 Deloraine Avenue projects far deeper into the lot than the bylaws allow, a distance of 4.27 meters instead of the allowed 2.5 meters, which is a significant 70% distance further than the bylaw allows. Its proximity as well to our joint fence line is also very close, going past what is allowed by the bylaws, 1.23 meters instead of the allowed 1.96 meters, which is almost 40% more than the bylaws allowed, close to the joint fence line. These two factors, along with the fact that the proposed deck is to be built at level 1 above grade, with inclusion of a large 6-foot privacy fence wall, which puts the top of the privacy wall at a distance of 3.79 meters above grade, and therefore 3.79 meters above where we use our property. These factors will almost certainly result in significantly less sunlight onto our property in our seating area and the death of many of our plants that we have in our garden bed. With the sun rising in the east, our usage of this area until the early to mid-afternoon will be significantly limited. Shade will be hitting this area the entire morning. This will limit our enjoyment of our property. Aside from sunlight, number two, the proximity of the deck to our joint fence line raises significant concern for overlook and privacy issues. While I do appreciate that a privacy wall will help, unfortunately, it comes with its downfall, as I described above, with obstructing our sunlight and exposure. And it also doesn't obstruct views into the deep part of our backyard. The westmost part of the deck will be sitting right on top of us, basically, more than the bylaws allow, and this also raises concern for potential noise, privacy in our backyard, and further limiting our enjoyment. Lastly, building a massive deck with breaks bylaws by its size, along with the big privacy wall on both sides, takes away from our visibility and the cosmetic view we have as we look from our property eastward, and it minimizes soft landscaping, which is far nicer to look at than a deck. Many of the windows in our house look eastward, and the way it stands now, we can see all the way to the street close to us, several houses away, Barse Avenue. Building a deck such as this results in significantly worsened view and visibility. Aside from their effect on our enjoyment, all three of these factors decrease the value of our property. So in summary, we kindly ask the committee to uphold the bylaws in question and to not provide relief to the applicant. We ask that you protect us from the certain negative impact that this will have in our backyard area and our property and our enjoyment as well. I understand that the person speaking probably wants to minimize the effect. They, unfortunately, should not be the ones who have the ability to say the effect on our property, as it is us who has significant, something to lose significant in this situation, and they only have something to gain by building a deck that is breaking bylaws. We ask that the applicant stays within the city bylaws in building the deck. We thank you for hearing our opposition, and we appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Hello, sir, are you there? Mr. Trotter?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you heard the comments from the previous speaker. If you'd like to respond.
Well, first of all, that end of the deck does not go out 4.27 meters. The reason the deck goes out 4.27, it only goes out about 3.2 meters. I'm sorry, my power's out of my house. I do not have my internet on. But it does not go out that far. Their first floor of their house is set up much higher than the deck will be anyways. The back of their house goes back 5 feet from the back wall of my client's house south, which blocks way more sunlight than my client's house could ever block even with the privacy screen. Sorry, and their back is heavily treed anyway. So and this is not a second level deck. This is a first level deck that my client has gone to the neighbor, has tried to figure out ways to satisfy his discontent, and he's not responded. He's not made any form of communication. He's incorrect about the setback of the deck itself at his end. And I don't see how, and we have the blessings of planning. I really don't see how this is, I mean, really, I really don't think this is a tough sell for my client.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is, he was mentioning that the projection is not 4 point whatever, and it is less than that. Although he doesn't have a power, I'll appreciate if you can clarify my concern, whether it is 4.27 or whatever or less. What is the situation? Which one is the correct figure?
Sir, I'm asking you, I'm honestly, I'm in my house. I have no power. You have the drawings there. Is it possible to bring up the drawing of the site plan? And we can see on the site plan that the west end of the deck does not go 4.27 meters out from the house. It's not happening there because the east end of the deck is at least 1 meter wider because of the staircase, and then we don't continue.
Mr. Trotter, I understand that you have like
Mr. Khan, let him finish.
We don't continue. The 4.7 meters runs for the length of the landing and the length of the staircase, which is at the far east end. I cannot tell you right now if I believe it's 3.2 meters in that area. I cannot see the drawings. I apologize. My power's been out for an hour or more in my house. I do not have internet. I've explained this a few times. And at that end of the deck, the variance is very, very minor. And like I say, this is not, his house is already 5 feet ahead. I don't see how this is in any way really like, it's not a second floor deck. It's a deck that's much lower than his first floor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having listened to the concerns of the neighbor and listened to the response from the applicant, I'm going to rely on the planning staff report and put forward a motion to accept the application, subject to the condition that the lot coverage of the dwelling be limited to 35.36% and the lot coverage of the proposed deck be limited to 8.05% with no further condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 1178 Mcallister Road.
Hello.
I have one person registered to speak. Murat Osgar, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Murat Özgür, and I am the agent for 78 Mcallister Road. My address is 11 Cassidy Place, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. I noticed there's a couple of reports on file with your application. One from Urban Forestry and one from City Planning dated the 15th of September, which recommends eliminating variance number 2 for the proposed west side yard setback. If the committee approves the revised application, it should be subject to the constructing the proposal substantially in accordance with the side and east side elevation drawings submitted to the committee, included as attachments 1 and 2 to their report. So I wanted to ask, sir, are you proposing to make any changes to your application?
Yes, sir. We are eliminating the number 2, which
you're-
is about the setback.
So you're eliminating variance number 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other changes?
All the rest is same.
Okay, everything, okay.
Exactly like this staff report of the city planning.
Okay, thank you. With respect to, I note that you're the only speaker on this application. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this afternoon? It's pretty clear what you're asking for in the 5 variances.
Everything is, I think, pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. If it is about number 4 or number 5, about the building height, it's the midpoint of the roof for bylaw 7625. And the proposed building height is 9.52. But with the new bylaw, we are under 10 meters. Actually, we are 9.81 meters, the top of the roof. And number 5 is again about the first floor height with the old bylaw 7625. And with the new bylaw, actually from the established grade, I am only 1.04 meters height. So these are the 2 things maybe is considering you, but these are the things.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? No? There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application, please? Please note that variance number 2 which is the west side yard setback. That has been eliminated. Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I acknowledge the fact that the applicant has eliminated variance 2 regarding the west side yard setback. And I am prepared to move approval of this on the planning condition that the proposal be constructed substantially in accordance with the west and east side elevations submitted to the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that, and urban forestry condition.
Yes,
Thank you. Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion. Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your revised application has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry and city planning conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 12, 155 Sweeney Drive. I have two people registered to speak. The first is the agent, George Bisios. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please, sir?
Yes, George Bizios, 155 Sweeney Drive.
Okay, thank you, sir. I noticed there's a couple of reports here from staff. Recommended condition from urban forestry and one from city planning dated the 15th of September. It recommends eliminating variance number 2 for the proposed west side yard setback, if not proposed by the applicant, refuse. If the committee approves the revised application, it should be subject to the constructing the proposal substantially in accordance with the side and east side elevation drawings submitted to the committee, included as attachments 1 and 2 to this report. Have you seen that report, sir? These reports?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so are you proposing to make a change eliminating variance number 2?
No, I'd like to proceed with the current variance that I have on file.
Okay, so you're not going to eliminate variance number 2 as recommended by planning?
Not at this moment.
Okay, thank you. If you could give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
I've provided a memo to the committee, so everything should be there unless they're requiring further clarification.
Sir, can you speak up?
I have submitted a memo with all of my responses to the respective variances. So unless there's anything that the committee is looking for in greater detail, I'd like to just leave it at that.
Okay, if you'd like to summarize, then summarize your argument, sir.
Sure. So regarding the minimum front yard setback, what I'd like to do is continue with the proposed infill in order for us to be able to maintain the front infill addition to the existing front face of the current garage. As it relates to the roof projection, the proposed total roof projection has been taken from the existing east side yard, or east elevation, I should say, rather. And as a result, when you actually take the projection of the soffit itself against that existing wall, we are within the bylaw. And as it relates to the first-story residential building and apartment, essentially the rear deck, I should say, the terrace, I should say, rather, there is an additional 1 meter that is not impacting the ground floor, but is projecting at the second level. The depth for this and the argument for this is that because of the slope in the rear, the height inevitably will be about the 1.2 meters. And that's just a result of the existing grade and the fact that we have a walkout condition as well. Other than that, the last variance to say rather, which is the minimum east side yard setback, as I mentioned before, we're looking to keep that wall existing throughout in order to maintain the planning on the interior for the proposed bedrooms, the construction, and any sort of significant structural work that may be required. We're trying to obviously adhere to the existing walls, and so what we don't want to be doing is demolishing any more walls than we actually need to, which we feel would actually protect the integrity of our adjacent neighbor's foundation and provide minimal impact to the ravine in the rear yard as well. And to the last point, the TRCA has provided their response, and their response is supportive of our submission. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bizios, I have to apologize. I said at the beginning that there were comments from city planning dated the 15th of September. That was reference to the previous application. My apologies, sir. The only comments we had on file with respect to this application at 155 Sweeney Drive was comments dated the 12th of August from Toronto Region Conservation Authority, which had no objections to your application. So I sincerely apologize about that. That was my mistake.
No problem, thank you.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next person on the list. I have a David Tsai. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
This is David Tsai at 153 Sweeney Drive. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Can I, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application?
Yes, sir. On behalf of my family, I thank the chairman and the committee for this opportunity to address our concerns regarding the code variances proposed for 155 Sweeney Drive. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the roof eaves variance. We do not see it as minor. The bylaw requires that it projects the maximum of 0.9 meters, provided that they are no closer than 0.3 meters to a lot line. If I can direct you to the architectural drawings of the applicant on page 2. The roof eaves on the east side looks like it ends on or could even be maybe over the lot line. The proposed roof eaves also projects 1.35 meters into the east lot line. This is 50% over the maximum permitted by the bylaw of 0.9 meters. 50% does not seem like a minor variance. Another aspect of our concern is how this plan greatly impacts the enjoyment of our home. We reside on the east side of his building at 153 Sweeney, and this east side yard setback should be 1.8 meters, while the proposal says 1.2 meters, which is 33% less. This proposed second story also reduces the direct natural light that comes into our northwest corner of our home. And this is our eat-in kitchen, and it's the only windows in our house that allows direct afternoon and evening sunlight from 3 p.m. until sunset. Because the garage is located in front of our eating kitchen, the proposed second floor will also cast a shadow over our home and front garden. The new second floor will also have both north and east side windows, which overlook our front lawn and affect our privacy. Right now, my family is able to see the sky and trees from the windows as we eat in that room every day. It's a special place in our home that we enjoy. Please see the two photos that we submitted. These unedited photos show you the natural view that we currently have and also how much light enters through those windows. We are concerned that if this building plan passes, that it will adversely affect the lighting, the privacy, and the enjoyment of our home. We expressed these concerns to Mr. Bezos as soon as we were aware of the plans, and he proposed doing a sun shadow study. We were told last Thursday that the amount of sunlight for our home would be adversely affected by the new addition. He also communicated that he could not or would not be able to do anything architecturally to prevent this at this time. In response to the applicant's explanation of the variances due to cost and aesthetics, I'd like to point you to page 12 of the applicant's plan. The south side of the proposed building will consist of floor-to-ceiling windows, which brings in a lot of sunlight into the living spaces. We are only asking for the same consideration for our home. If these variances are granted to help the applicant save on building costs, it seems unjust because it will be at the cost of negatively affecting the value of our home. If this project is approved, it would be a house that is out of character with the surrounding homes on this street as well, which are mainly single-story bungalows. The 8 houses east, 5 houses west, and the 16 homes north are all bungalows. Please see this location and its surrounding homes on Google Maps Street View. Sorry, we didn't include those. In summary, there are many reasons why the variances requested are not minor and why we oppose them. The proposed roof eaves is 50% over the maximum permitted. The proposed minimum east side setback is 33% less than the regulation requires. The plan negatively impacts the lighting, privacy, and enjoyment of our home and property. The proposed 2-story building does not fit the character of the single-story bungalows that surround it. Thank you for listening to our concerns, and why we opposed them. And again, thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go back to Mr. Bizios. Are you there, sir? Yes, sir. Can I get
Yes, I
you?
am.
Can I, if you'd like to respond to the previous speaker, please?
Sure. So I'll just respond to a couple of his points. So as it relates to the character of the building and the daylighting, both of those concerns are not relative to this planning submission. I have every right to build a two-story as the zoning bylaw states. As it relates to the overhang concern, the 50% and us actually encroaching beyond the lot line is actually not correct. We are not doing so. When you look at where we are with the existing east side yard wall and where we're building straight up, we are not actually extending beyond and encroaching beyond the lot line. And we are within the 0.3 meters as requested by the bylaw.
Okay, thank you, sir. Could I, any questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? And please note, it was my mistake at the beginning. The only staff comments we have on this application are from Toronto Region Conservation Authority, dated the 12th of August, 2021, and they had no objections to the application. So if I could get a motion on the application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I think that, you know, the agent and the explanations provided today does make sense to me. I do believe that it does meet the 4 tests and supported by a number of letters of support, as well as no comments from planning. I do believe that he addressed the debutante correctly as well. So I'm putting forward a motion to approve this application. I'll make it subject to the August 12th TRCA report. And that's my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your application's been unanimously approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 2-minute break. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, committee is back in session. We are on item number 13, 275 St. Leonard's Avenue. I have 3 people registered to speak. First is an agent, Hamid Barami. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sir. Just like to let you know that I looked through your file. There's only one staff comment, and that's a recommended condition from Urban Forestry. But in view of the fact that we have 2 other persons registered to speak on this application, if you could give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Absolutely. Hi, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Hamid Barami, HP Design, 101 Duncan Mill Road, Suite 210. And we're proposing a new 2-story single-family house at 275 St. Leonard's. And our only variance is a side yard reduction of 1.22 meter. I received and read the neighboring property's concern. The concern is mostly regarding the rainwater runoff and also the grading issues, which is legitimate, and we definitely will be addressing those at the building permit stage and the drawings which is required by city as far as grading and post and past construction runoff calculations. So I'm happy to answer any questions and answer any concerns.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to our first person on our deputants list. I have a Victor Valance. Are you there, sir?
Yes.
Mr.
My
Valance,
name
are you
is.
there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Can I get your
Can you
full
hear
name
me?
and address, please?
Yes, my full name is Victor Valance, and I reside at 277 St. Leonard's Avenue, which is the property adjacent to 275 St. Leonard's and the proposed development.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application?
Sure, we did file a written submission and with an objection to the east side variance of 1.22 meters. And our concerns in opposition to this variance are primarily threefold. One, we are concerned that the excavation will be very close to the property line and affect the integrity of our foundation. Our house has been here for close to 70 years. And this area of Lawrence Park has a high water table, and it's also has underground springs. So the ground is unstable, and we believe with that excavation could affect adversely our foundation. So that's one concern. The second concern would be just with the variance being given, and also how far back the building goes. It does affect the amount of sunlight and our privacy on our lot. We've enjoyed, because the current building there is quite small, a lot of sunlight coming from the west, and also quite a bit of privacy. Now, we do believe that a new dwelling is in order, that the current building on the property is very run down and needs to be demolished, but we are concerned about just the aerial extent and the size of the property. And then finally, given the size of the building, and in particular the basement plan of 11-foot deep basement and quite a large basement, and as I noted, in this area, there's a high water table and underground springs. We're quite concerned about the displacement of water from the construction of the basement, which would cause flooding and water runoff onto our property, which is downslope of 270.
Sir, I don't mean to interrupt, but I've mentioned this before with respect to other speakers. The committee doesn't deal with drainage issues. With respect to if this application is approved, the applicant has to submit a lot grading plan that shows that all his storm water's dealt with on his own property. So I would suggest that you just focus on the variances that he's requesting.
Okay, so I just go back to the excavation, the variance on the east side. If they do allow that, we want to make sure that there's sufficient shoring on the east side of the excavation to prevent any disturbance to the ground. And that would be our one request. And the other request, since we are downslope of 275 St. Leonard's, that the grade level, which is currently there, doesn't change with the construction of the new building, new dwelling.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. My question is that people complained about the footing will be affected. Now, there are two conditions. Whether if they are encroachment, then of course it is there is a threat, or he's asking for the shoring. Did you discuss all these things with the applicant?
No, we did not. We have had no contact with the applicant. I met the current property owner on the driveway once and just expressed our concern with regards to the variance he was asking for, but we haven't talked to the applicant about those concerns because quite frankly, we don't have any contact details for the applicant. And the developer or the property owners haven't approached us as well.
Sir, what is your chief concern about your footing? I mean, how it will be affected when he's constructing within his property lines?
Well, that it could cause damage to our foundation if shoring is put in place, then that certainly helps. But as I noted, this area of Lawrence Park, there are underground streams and a high water table. So the ground in this area is quite unstable. So if they start excavating close to the property line, that could disturb the ground on our property and cause the weakness in the foundation and possibly cracking and other issues.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next person on our list. I have a Miriam Schuchman. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Miriam Schuchman, 294 Dawlish Avenue, Toronto, M4N 1J5.
Okay, thank you, madam. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on the application.
We are the south-facing, the property directly south of this house, and it was very difficult for us to tell based on the materials provided, but it looks as if there will be significant cutting down of trees at the south end of the property. So that was our concern. I don't know if TRCA has commented on this proposal, and what made us believe that is that there is a pool that is to be part of this property at the south end, and it looks like it is placed where there are a significant number of shrubs and trees right now, and which of course is for our property very helpful to have that. It gives you not only the abundant bird life and canopy and the beauty of that, but also the privacy of one yard from another. So as I said, we could not tell from the materials we reviewed if that's the case, but that was our concern, what is happening at the south end in terms of existing trees and shrubs and et cetera.
Okay, thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Mr. Barami, are you there?
Sir, I'm here.
Yes, you heard the comments from the previous two speakers. If you'd like to respond to them, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, as far as the neighbors at 277 and the excavation concern, we have already proposing a shoring along the east and west side of the property in order to be able to dig it safely and properly. So that concern of the neighbors we're already working on that and will be submitted at the building permit stage. As far as the grading and other concerns that you also mentioned, you already answered that it will be addressed into a grading plan and grading certificate once the job is done. As far as the neighbors at the south or behind us, all those existing trees along the property line will stay and will remain. We're actually not removing any city-owned trees at the front of the property. There are a few small trees under 30 centimeter within the footprint of the proposed building that needs to be removed. And we're also in process of providing an arborist report to the urban forestry to resolve those as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having listened to the applicant and to the concerns of the neighbors, I believe that this does meet the 4 tests, and that any concerns that there are with respect to trees will be investigated pursuant to the urban forestry requirements of their letter of September 16th. So I would move approval of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Thank you. We are now on item number 14, 282 Churchill Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Lefteris Avramidis. I've certainly mispronounced that. Are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Can I get your full name and address, please, sir?
Yes, it's Lefteris Ted Avramidis, 282 Churchill Avenue.
Sir, can you speak up where you're drifting in and out?
Sure, it's Lefteris Ted Avramidis, 282 Churchill Avenue, North York, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. I was going through your file. I note that there's a report from City Planning dated the 14th of September, which recommends refusing variance number 2 for the proposed building length and variance number 3 for the proposed building depth. And should the committee approve the application, staff recommends that the proposed east side of the addition contain no windows. In view of those recommended refusals, sir, would you like to defer the application to discuss this further with planning, or would you like to go forward?
I already had some discussions with planning on, it was last Friday, I talked to Mr.
Sir, can you speak up?
Sorry, I did talk to Mr. Romero last Friday, and we did have a discussion with regards to removing the mudroom. What I would like to do is extend that back wall from 18.88 meters to 20 meters, as stated in his letter here that states that there hasn't been any approvals greater than 20 meters. And there's a home 4 doors down that's actually at 20 meters as well right now. That was approved back in 2014.
Okay, so are you proposing to make revisions to your application?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so can you go through your application and by each variance and tell us what you're proposing to change?
Yes, definitely. Number 2, variance number 2, from 22.03, I want to adjust that to 19.9.
Okay, so it's going from, the proposed building length is 22.03 meters, and you're reducing it to 19.9 meters.
Correct.
Okay, that's variance number 2. I'm proposing a change to anything else?
Well, that would in turn change variance number 3 to be from 23.13 down to 21.
So from proposed variance 3 reads proposed building depth is 23.13. You're changing it to 21?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 21.0 meters.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have no other persons registered to speak on this application. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
Yes. After I've done a little bit of a review, obviously 290 Churchill, which is 4 doors down, I believe was approved at 21.5 meters, but then adjusted back down to 20 meters back in 2014. And on the next road over on Ellerslie Avenue, there's actually a home there that had a 2-story addition, and it was approved at 22.5 meters. So I do understand, obviously, the planners' hesitancy to allow anything greater than 20. Listen, I've been a resident of North York since 1978, been up here. And so I do see the point there. So that's why I'm planning to take out the mudroom, but I would just need that extra space to incorporate the mudroom inside the family room itself.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Does the speaker, are you okay with the proposed east side addition containing no windows? Because we've heard that from staff, the staff report, as well as the councillor.
Yeah, I guess so. The thing was, I was gonna relocate a window that currently is on the east
Sir,
side.
can you speak up?
Yes, I was going to relocate a window that was already currently on the east side into the east side of the room itself, where the washroom is. I didn't think it was part of the committee of adjustment. I thought it was something during the permit stage that I would have to go through.
So to summarize, sir, are you proposing to that the east side of the addition contain no windows?
Again, there won't be any new windows. I would like to have a window there. It's a washroom, a small frosted window. I currently have a window on the east side that I'm relocating into that room.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I've heard what the applicant has indicated, and I think that it is a fair compromise what he's put forward, and it does seem minor in nature when he does put it forward in this regard. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application. I'm going to make it subject to the changes that the applicant made here today, such that variance number 2 is now reduced to 19.9 meters and variance number 3 has been reduced to 21 meters. And in terms of the proposed east side, that one window that he's relocating to the east side that serves as a washroom window, I would add that that entire window be permanent opaque screening so that it takes care of any privacy concerns for the neighbors.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your revised application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions and a condition that you put opaque screening in that washroom window on the east side of the building. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're now on item number 15 has been deferred, which was 46 Virgil Wood. Now on item number 16, 397 Whitmore Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Diana Salerno. Are you there? Diana Salerno, are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, Diana is present on the call, and she is unmuted.
I'll try one more time. Diana Salerno, are you there?
Mr. Chair, maybe we'll stand this one down, and we'll have Diana.
Stand it down, I'll go back.
Diana, if you can hear me, please log off and log back in and authorize your microphone. That way we can ensure you have your chance to speak to the file.
Thank you. Item number 17, 1386 Wilson Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Eddie Perez. Are you there, Mr. Perez?
Hello, good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. I'm here.
Yes, hi, Mr. Perez. I just wanted to ask, there's a report from City Planning dated the 15th of September, and it's recommending refusing variance number 1 of your application, and that relates to the proposed number of stories. And I wanted to ask, in view of the fact that we have that comment from City Planning, would you like to defer the application in order to talk over this issue with City Planning, or would you like the application heard today?
I'd like the application to be heard today. We already spoke with planning, and I put in some supporting documents of
Okay, Joe,
the
just a moment,
character
sir.
of the
Okay,
area.
so we'll hear your
Yeah.
application today. If you'd like to make a presentation to the committee on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Yeah, please
So,
proceed.
go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so as you can see, if you can put up the supporting documents, there is many multiplexes in the area. There's 3 stories up to 7 stories with balconies and such. We're not asking for a 3rd floor. If you put on the 3rd floor, we're just asking for an exit to the rooftop, and we're putting a small little balcony at the front. I put the screen on the both sides to ensure privacy for both neighbors, so there won't be any privacy objection on the neighbor side whatsoever. We're only going to have viewing to facing Wilson, which is Main Street, and I feel that what we're proposing is very minor, and it's not an actual 3rd story. It's just a little access for my client. He would like to have a little rooftop deck, and that's what he's looking for. We're not asking for anything out of the normal. It's very common in the area if you look at the pictures that I presented, and I feel that we meet the 4 tests, and this is very common in the area. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Perez. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. There are no staff recommends that variance number 1, 3-story is not a minor and does not reinforce and respect the existing physical character of the neighborhood. Also introduces privacy concern to the abutting 1-story residential properties. Therefore, I move that this application be refused.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Khan to refuse the application. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Ms. Sankar and Mr. Hunt opposed. And I can't support that motion, so if I could get another motion, please. Ms. Sankar?
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application. I do believe, based on the explanations provided by the applicant, I'm willing to accept that. And, you know, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application. And I'm just looking to make sure there's no forestry or anything else that
No,
was
it's just the planning report.
that was it. Okay, so that's my motion, sir.
Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion to approve the application. Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Kidd and Mr. Khan dissenting, and I'll support Ms. Sankar's motion, and that motion carries. Sir, your application has been approved without condition. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We'll go back to item number 16. Diana Salerno, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Sure, it's Diana Salerno, 90 Sumac Street, Unit 313, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, we have 2 variances before us relating to the installation of a front yard parking pad. I noticed that we have comments from Transportation Services dated the 16th of September, and they have no objections to your proposal. I just wanted to ask, Madam, it's pretty clear what you're asking for. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
No, we've been working very closely with transportation to come up with this proposal. So, and I do have a presentation prepared, but if there's no questions or need for presentation, I'll leave that up to the committee to ask.
Okay, thank you, Madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt. Mr. Hunt, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I believe that the only consideration for this would be impacting transportation, and since transportation has expressed no objections, I would move approval of this without condition.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Madam, your application has been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 18, 20 St. Regis Crescent. I have one person registered to speak. That is Peter Jaruchik. Are you there?
I am here.
Yes, thank you, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Peter Jaruchik. I'm from 60 Thistledown Crescent, Whitby, Ontario, owner of Arc Design Group.
Okay, thank you, sir. I noticed that we have a couple of reports here from city staff, one from Urban Forestry, which is recommending refusal due to the potential removal of 2 city-owned oak trees. We also have a report from City Planning dated the 14th of September, which recommends refusing variance number 3 for the proposed percentage of front yard setback covered with driveways, walkways, or other hard surfaces. And that if committee chooses to approve the application, that you submit a landscaping plan to the satisfaction of community planning. Just wanted to ask, sir, in view of those comments, would you like to, especially the planning comments, would you like to defer the application to discuss this further with planning, or would you like to proceed today?
No, I'd like to proceed today.
Okay, if you'd like to give us your views on why the committee should find merit in your proposal.
Okay, I don't know if you guys have either the site plan that you can post or an aerial photograph of the property. The site plan itself, I understand the comments from the planning department was regarding the area of covered driveways. Now, my submission did not have an aerial photograph of the property. I don't know if you guys have the capability to show the aerial photograph, but all the asphalted area here is existing. We're not asking for any additional area for paving. This is an existing situation. This property was purchased by the City of Toronto to facilitate an emergency exit for the subway line, which is now denoted as the lands owned by TTC. They severed off that portion and resold the property back to us. My client purchased the property from the City of Toronto for the remaining building and parking spaces. The issue brought forward here was the actual entranceway, which I relocated to create a situation where I have parking on both sides of the aisle. Currently, if you had unfortunately I didn't submit an aerial photo, not knowing what the issue was with planning in time, but right now we have tandem parking spaces. So we're fine to remain the parking as it is, which still requires our requirement for the asphalt area of the variance for the asphalted area, because that's existing as of today. The issue with relocating the driveway would put those 2 trees at risk. So we're fine to actually keep the driveway as it is to protect those trees. which will continue on having our existing parking as a tandem parking, and keep the asphalt as it is right now, which is a matter, it's a legal non-conforming use. But since we are here for the other issues for the proposed addition, we thought we would relocate that entranceway to provide better parking usage. However, the issue with the tree protection, we're fine with that to relocate, to maintain the entrance as it is, which is, if you're looking at this plan, it's where part 5 is. So on our site plan, where part 5 is located, that's where the entrance is, and the parking spaces are flipped to the other side as a tandem situation.
Okay, thank you, sir. I wanted to ask, just out of curiosity, how many parking stalls are you required to provide for this property?
It's illegal, as it stands right now, we have the 11, and from what we've proposed, those remain. And there was no variance under the zoning notice requesting any additional parking spots. So I don't know the exact one as per the current bylaw, because it is the old North York bylaw, which that's why we went for a zoning waiver. So the parking spaces that we're showing are existing.
Okay, but
Actually, we removed parking spaces in the back, but and there was no variance required. I don't know the exact number required here, but we're maintaining the existing parking.
Okay,
And
I understand that, but I'm saying is, if planning, for example, wanted you to reduce or to increase the amount of landscaping, that would probably put you in violation of the zoning bylaw. Am I correct? And you'd have to be back at the committee for a parking variance.
Right. So if they're requiring us to go into to add more landscaped area, then we would have to eliminate parking, our existing parking, to meet that requirement. So I would just make a point of reference here. This is an existing condition, and we're seeking for it to remain. We're just bringing a legal non-compliance into the minor variance because we're coming in for the other one. So they're trying to bring that into compliance under this minor variance.
Yeah, and I, from my visit up to this particular location, the type of arrangement you're proposing, that's not unusual on this street. Is that correct? I mean,
no,
you have basically parking right up to the property line. Is that correct?
Correct. Now, there's quite a bit of vegetation there because when the property was owned by the city of Toronto, they did take that additional land, not only the land for the emergency exit for the subway, but a road widening as well. So that all those trees and all that green space is now owned by the city. So the existing property, which does have substantial landscape at the front, is on city property now, which was previously on our property, but during the TTC land swap, they took that road winding, which is parts 4 and 5, I believe, also on our site plan that we had.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair. I mean, I've heard the explanations provided by the applicant here today, in that, understanding that this, moved from city-owned property back to this, owner who's currently bought it again, and knowing that there are existing landscaping and existing setbacks, and with respect to the walkways and the driveways and other hard surfaces. And for that reason, then I'll move away, I guess, from the staff recommendations, because maybe that was not fully explained or anticipated or understood as was explained here today. So I'll motion to approve this application, but I will make it subject to forestry. Forestry has a condition number 5, I believe it is. And so I will make it subject to forestry to satisfy forestry if this were to be fully approved. So that's my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Hunt and Mr. Khan dissenting, and I will support Ms. Sankar's motion, and that motion carries. Thank you. Item number
Thank you for
19, 356 Cleveland Street. I have one person registered to speak, and that is Amir Roba. Are you there?
Good afternoon.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, sir?
My name is Amar Roba from YEJ Studio and Consulting. Our address is 250 Shields Court, Markham, Ontario, unit number 7.
Okay, thank you, sir. I've noticed going through your file, the only staff recommended condition is from urban forestry. You have two variances before us relating to a new deck at the rear of the building. I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for. I'll just ask, sir, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
No, however, I have a presentation prepared, but if it's not needed, I am open to answer any questions the committee would have.
Okay, thank you. Does the
And we
committee
are
have any
aware of-
questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a minor variances, and I move that this application be approved.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Khan to approve the application. Someone to second that?
Sir, would that be subject to forestry as well?
Yes, thank you for reminding
Yes,
for
thank
forestry
you.
too.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you.
Item number 20, 147 Alexandra Boulevard. I have one person registered to speak. That's Mahir Manios. Are you there?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Yes, hello, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yeah, it's Mahir Manius, number 1 Teakwood Grove, Toronto, M3B 2H9.
And thank you, sir. I've gone through your file and I've noted that we have no comments from staff or no recommended conditions. I'm just looking at the application here, sir. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. We've got 4 variances before us. I'll just ask, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
No, Mr. Chair, like I have a presentation ready, just like the previous speaker. If the committee has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or I can give a presentation. I just want to emphasize that we do have support of 5 few neighbors, including both immediate east and west neighbors, and I'm happy
Okay,
to
thank
answer
you.
any questions.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Manuel, my question is related to variance number 1.
Yep.
Floor space index is very high. Explain why.
Sure. So we had submitted as part of our supporting material extensive list of previous decisions in the neighborhood, which we're actually at the low end of what's being built in this area, whether it's renovation additions or new builds. The approvals go all the way from 0.67, 0.68, all the way to 0.9. The 0.35, we've made this comment at previous hearings as it's more of a control mechanism where everything gets vetted by committee of adjustment. But you'll rarely find even existing houses that have a 35% GFA. Like this house as it stands before the proposed work stands at 57% or 0.57 of the lot area. So the 0.35 is not a realistic number, it's just strictly a control mechanism. And thanks for staff for putting up the supporting material. You can see on the 3rd or 4th column where it says GFA, all the percentages, with 0.67 being, I think, almost the lowest GFA approved in the past.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In light of the explanation from the agent, I think the proposed variances can be considered minor. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application without condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. That motion carries. Sir, your application's been approved without condition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Item number 21, we have 27 Fairbank Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. And Enzo Locasano, are you there, sir?
I am.
Sir, can I get your full name and address, please?
It's Enzo Locasano from Arch DWG at 130 Bridgeland Avenue in Toronto.
Okay, thank you, sir. I don't know if you had the opportunity, I've looked through your file. There's a report from City Planning dated the 15th of September, and it recommends modifying variance number 2 for the proposed platform setback from the south property line from 0.36 meters to 0.8 meters, and variance number 5 for the proposed rear yard soft landscaping from 43.3% to 46%. Staff recommends if the revisions are not made that the application be refused. Have you had the opportunity to review that report, sir?
Yes, we did, and we also resubmitted drawings. So committee should have the updated drawings and the updated zoning review.
Okay, so can I just ask then, are you proposing to modify variances number 2 and variances number 5?
Correct.
Can you just tell the committee, so we can state it on the record, what those changes are?
Yep.
So variance number 2, the change is?
Variance number 2, the side yard setback from the south property line will now be increased from where it was originally at 0.36 to 0.80.
Okay. And
due to that, the variance for number 5 will now be increased from 43.3 to 46%.
Terrific, thank you, sir. No other changes, am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, sir.
This is a straightforward second floor addition over the existing building. So variances number 3 and 4 purely technical.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Okay, if I could get a motion on this revised application, please note variance number 2 has been changed, that the proposed deck is 0.36 meters from the south property line has been increased to 0.80 meters from the south property line. Variance number 5 has been modified so that the rear yard landscaping has been increased from 43.3% to 46%. So if I could get a motion on that revised application, please. Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, staff recommendation is the same if variance number 2 and 5 are modified as they are. Number 2 is 0.8 and number 5 is 46%. So I move that after this modification, it becomes a minor variance and acceptable. So I move this application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your revised application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item number 22, 88 Allingham Gardens.
Hey.
I have one person registered to speak. That is Andrea Alimi. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, hello, madam. Can I get
Hello.
your full name and address, please?
Yeah, my name's Andrea Alimi, and my address is 88 Allingham Gardens. I'm the homeowner with my husband, and we're just here to really hear what the committee has to say.
Okay, thank you, madam. I just wanted to, I've been going through your file. I've noted that, just a moment here. There's a couple of comments on file with your application, one from recommended condition from urban forestry and then from city planning, which is recommending that you modify variance number 1 for the proposed lot coverage from 41.80 to 41.80% to 34.80%. I just wanted to ask, Madam, are you proposing to make that change?
So can we just check if our architect, Lawrence Malik, is there? Because he was going to be speaking to these issues.
Okay, well, okay, I just need to know if you're proposing to make that change.
Yes.
Yes, we are proposing to reduce the
Okay, because
size.
that's the only recommended condition from city planning. And you're proposing to modify the variance then, because right now variance number 1 reads the proposed lot coverage is 41.80% of the lot area, and you're reducing that from 41.80% to 34.80%, correct?
That's
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, if I could get a motion on this revised application, please. Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the presentation by the applicant that they are willing to make the change to variance number 1 by reducing the maximum lot coverage from 41.8 to 34.8%, and that the deck that is involved will now be a maximum of 4.4%, and conditional on the urban forestry requirements, I would move approval of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor?
Excuse me,
Oh, I'm
is
sorry,
that
Mr. Kidd?
subject to forestry condition?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, Mr. Hunt specified the urban, yeah, okay. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Hunt specified the urban forestry conditions. Mr. Kidd's in favor, so that motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application's been your revised application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions. Thank you very much,
Thank
madam.
you. Thank
That
you.
ends our morning session. Committee, would you like to take a break for lunch? How long? An hour, half hour, 45 minutes? 45 minutes?
45?
Half hour?
I would have opted for half an hour, but
Okay.
Half hour, 45, that's good.
I'm sorry, 45 minutes or half?
45 is good. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do 45 minutes then. We'll be back at 2 o'clock.